Welcome to the Chtib Zhang Show, episode 20. On the menu for this episode, we will be talking UFC 262, and for the rest of the episode, we will be looking at the NHL playoffs that are underway. We'll be talking about that. But as always, we have to go to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Chtib Fantasy, the best in-play fantasy app on the market. Pick 2 to 3 players in the NBA while you're watching your favorite teams and watch them make you some money. Hot Streak is matching your initial deposit as a bonus, so get Hot Streak Fantasy app right now. Eric, you've made some money on it.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
last Tell them how quick and easy it is.
That's what I'm saying. Last week I said I was broke. I made some money. I put $10 in.
You put
I
all his money on in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I made $20. So yeah.
Perfect. It is quick and easy.
It's super easy. You just pick 3 players, and then if they win, they win. I don't know how it's gonna work for the playoffs. I'm interested to see. I think it's still going to be around the same way, but obviously some of the worst players aren't going to play that much, so it's going to be very interesting to see.
Be interesting to see, but so tune in for that. Use Hot Streak Fantasy app because it's quick and easy and it's super super efficient when it comes to gambling sites. So make sure you're looking at that. And let's get into the episode, Eric. But first, as always, roll it. Welcome to the Chtib Zhang Show. It is episode 20th, Eric. 20th episode. Quite a little bit of a milestone, I'd say.
Exactly.
It's not 50, it's not 100, but it's 20. It's our 20.
Exactly.
So in today's episode, Eric, we'll be talking about UFC 262, which is Charles Oliveira. Oliveira. What is it? Oliveira?
Oliveira.
Yeah, Oliveira. Like a lot, like that cream, right? Versus Michael Chandler. For UFC 262. And then for the rest of the episode, we will be giving our predictions for the NHL Playoffs first round. We'll go through the series, predict our winner, how many games, blah, 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 what we think about the matchups. And pretty much it. So, Eric, let's get UFC out of the way first. UFC 262 happened. Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira was 30-8 going into this fight. Chandler was 22 and 22-5. This was a lightweight matchup, and Charles Oliveira actually came out and won this one in the second round with a knockout 19 seconds in. Eric, he punched him once. If people are watching, they know the knockout with the left jab or the left hook, you could say, brought him to the fence and then finished him there. You watched the fight. The UFC guy pretty much on this show. Why don't you talk about it?
So, just coming into this fight, obviously, everyone wanted Charles Oliveira to win because Michael Chandler, he only fought that one time in the UFC. We watched that live. Remember on the Conor McGregor?
I did. I love how you keep saying we watched this live, and I have no recollection.
Remember when Conor McGregor fought Dustin Poirier on that card? The fight before.
Was this during COVID? Just recently?
Yeah, remember the fight right before?
Yeah. Oh,
Michael he got Chandler? That knock. Yeah, he got that knock. Michael Chandler. Yeah, he got that. Yeah, he got that knockout. Remember Michael Chandler? He got that knockout.
No.
On.
I remember the Poirier fight.
He did, and he only had one fight, and then he got the title shot, which was kind of crazy because Khabib vacated, so that's why they fought for it. And the thing with Charles Oliveira was on an 8-fight win streak.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's fought 26 fights, I want to say, in the UFC. So this guy's been grind, never had a title shot. He's on an 8-fight win streak, and then so everyone obviously wants Charles because Charles Oliveira has been in the UFC for almost a decade now, and he's been grinding, he's been really good. So he went in there and he just showed that he was a better fighter. He has more it's just it's not that he has more experience, but he just showed
more
he
was
heart.
Better when it came to grappling and
for sure he's a better jiu-jitsu
and stuff.
And the knock against Charles Oliveira was, he didn't fight that good of competition. He can't handle pressure. Michael Chandler had knocked him out. Charles Oliveira was on the ground. Ref could have stopped it. Ref could let it go. Charles Oliveira stood in there, and then round finished.
Yep.
Next round comes out, knocks him out 19 seconds. Super nice left hook, super sharp. Super. It was so clean. I was so happy for him.
Everyone this was a title fight.
Oh yeah, it was a title fight
for the lightweight championship.
Exactly.
Title belt. Oh, okay. So he's the new lightweight champion now.
So and then Conor McGregor is gonna fight Dustin Poirier.
Yeah,
people
and the
think
winner of
that might be
fight Charles.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing Charles Oliveira probably gonna wait a little while here for the Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier trilogy to end, right? And then fight the winner. So I guess I have nothing else to say on it.
Well, I just want to
I saw
add.
the highlights. That
Yeah,
first
bro,
round,
it was
pretty intense.
yeah,
Like you
so
said, he could have
interesting.
ended it. Like he was on the
Yeah,
ground getting
I was watching
rocked
like
by Michael
such a good
Chandler,
fight. Michael Chandler is probably gonna like he's
and he's a
still a
really
really
good
good.
power striker too. Michael Chandler,
Exactly,
strong,
exactly.
strong strikes.
Because Michael Chandler was a champion for Bellator. Like he was there for a while before. Like he was probably the best lightweight that wasn't in the UFC, right?
Yeah,
So then he came here, knocked out Dan Hooker. So people like he still had a lot of hype, but Charles Oliveira, he's been doing this for a while. He deserves it.
he was what,
And
ranked number third going into this fight. Charles Era in the lightweight division. I
yeah, I
think
think it
you
was
said
third and fourth. Yeah,
third,
third and fourth. Yeah,
third and
but
fourth. So,
rankings don't really mean
yeah,
that much, to be
no,
honest. I'll be
not
honest.
really.
Rankings don't mean that much. But I'm so happy for Charles Oliveira. He was
Yeah,
so happy, and I'm happy for Brazil for sure. There's not too much to expand on. This is just a very
yeah,
good fight.
good. UFC, yeah, good for Brazil. Their athlete wins the lightweight championship versus
Mhm.
Michael Chandler. That's UFC 262. Probably going to talk towards or talk about UFC 263 when that happens, whenever it is. But if there's nothing else to say, we can move to the NHL now, where we will spend the rest of the episode
Yeah,
pretty much
I'm excited. Yeah.
going through the uh, playoff matchups, give out who we think's going to win, how many
Exactly.
games probably, what we like about the matchup, the
Yeah.
strong points, weaknesses. So, Eric, let's start in the East with the Boston Bruins and Washington
Ooh.
Capitals, which I think is going to be a really good series. We can't lie right now. We are filming this episode
Exactly on Monday
a
night.
late Monday, so there have been games that have played. So the Capitals won their game, Islanders won their game, Tampa won their game. The Wild beat the Golden Knights in OT, so they're
Yeah.
up 1-0. So those teams are up 1-0. For me, I don't think it really changes my
Exactly.
original
Yeah.
picks because it's still best of 7 series, so a lot can
Mhm.
happen. So Boston, Washington, probably going to be a high scoring affair. Game 1 was something to watch.
For
It
sure.
went to overtime. That's, by the way, the first 3 games to go to overtime in NHL history. The first 3 playoff games all went to OT.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first time in NHL history that's happened. So kudos to them. Kudos to
For
the 3
sure.
matchups. Those were good matchups. Boston Capitals. Boston actually won this series against Washington 4-2-2. They won against. So they played 8 games. Boston won majority. But as we know in the playoffs, the records mean nothing head to
Exactly.
head because it's a clean sheet and it restarts. So Boston, as we know, we talked about them. They acquired Taylor Hall at the trade deadline, Eric.
Mhm.
He's on the line now, I think, with David Krejci, and he's looked really good now in Boston. He's been heating up. Capitals, they made trade deadline moves. They picked up Anthony Mantha. They gave
Yep.
up Jacob Verana. So they pick up the power forward who could score. So Boston versus the Capitals. My initial pick is the Boston Bruins. That's
Okay.
who I think is going to win this series. I mean, just first of all, I know the Boston Bruins for some reason this year had a bit of an off year when it came to their scoring capabilities. That first line didn't really pop as it used to, but still a very dangerous line come playoff
Exactly.
times. Pasternak, Bergeron, Marchand, and then that second line with Krejci,
yeah.
Craig Smith, Taylor Hall
Taylor
has
Hall,
been really
yeah.
good too. As we know, Boston's weakness is definitely their blue line. After losing Chair and Krug in the offseason,
Yeah.
they relying heavily on Charlie McAvoy, Matt
McAvoy.
Grzelcyk, and so
Mhm.
their blue line's a little thinner. Washington, think their one issue right now is their goaltending, even though Craig Anderson actually won on the game. Craig Anderson's right now their starting goalie for game 2
That's crazy.
because Samsonov's injured, Vanacek's injured too. Or no, Samsonov was actually taken off COVID list, I think, so he's not ready yet. But right now, Craig Anderson's their starting goalie, but he's looked great.
They
in game
won,
1.
so yeah.
Yeah. So I think bottom line, it's going to come down to who can score the more goals in this series because it's be a high scoring affair. I like the Boston lineup with Taylor Hall in it too. It really makes them deeper than they originally were going into the postseason. The Capitals, like I've talked about it, that Anthony Mantha trade, it's great, but it doesn't really change the aspect of their game with Jacob Verana and Anthony Mantha. They're still the same team.
Mhm.
Their blue line, as we know, John Carlson, they had Justin Schultz, Brendan Dill, and other guys, solid vet guys who have been in the postseason before. And of course, like I said, their goaltending, Craig Anderson. So, this is going to be nailed, but I think it's going to go game 7. 7 games. I think Boston's going to win it. And yeah, what do you think?
Okay, yeah, I'll start. I know Boston's very good in the playoffs usually, right? They always do really well. It's very rare for them to get booted
Bounced in the first round.
But I think Washington's got this one. I'll be
Okay.
honest. I know it might be a bit biased because they won the first game with Craig Anderson nets.
Yeah.
But if Samsonov does come back off the COVID, I'm not sure how does that work.
Yeah.
But if he does come back, they have Samsonov on nets. Like Samsonov, a really good goaltender for sure. And both if they have Samsonov playing, like they'll be fine. And I just like Washington overall.
Yeah.
And a big if factor is Kuznetsov. He had an off
he
season
has not
this year.
played either. Yeah.
But
he hasn't played game 1.
But if Kuznetsov comes back, he's had an off season. But remember, like 3 years ago,
when he got
Kuznetsov a big part of that team.
No, he's definitely one of their key players.
Exactly.
On the team, he makes
TJ Oshie always pulls up in the playoffs.
Great year.
For sure. And I'm really excited to see Mantha how he plays.
Yeah.
I just want to see. Yeah, my bad.
Mantha's first playoff experience.
Exactly. With us, he never got to play, so I just want to see how he's going to do. But I believe Washington's going to win. I know Tuukka Rask is a very good goaltender.
Yeah.
Boston's defense is not that good, but
no.
I just have a feeling like there's some. I don't know. None of the teams are that motivated this year. Like they don't like Boston. They've won. Like they're not like motivated teams. You know
I would disagree. I feel like Boston, with their aging group, they know that their window's closing. And they're going to try and win a cup in these few years that they have left together.
No, because I'm just thinking about like Tuukka's one.
Yeah.
Bergeron's one. You know what I mean? Like it's not as intense as other
but still,
teams, right?
It's still the playoffs.
Yeah, I know it's a playoffs, but I'm very excited to see. I think
you could say the same about Washington, man. It seems like after they won the cup, Washington didn't care about hockey ever.
I know. But obviously, I think it's going to go down in Game 7. It's a coin toss for sure in this one. But what really led me to say Washington is just because they had Craig Anderson and they still won, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have Samsonov. It can be completely different. But it's going to be a very, very high-scoring playoff series for sure.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So I have Boston, you have Washington. Let's move to the Penguins versus the Islanders. Penguins actually the first seed in this one versus the Islanders. Islanders are up 1-0 right now, an OT winner. Eric, no bias, like you said, because Islanders are up 1-0. But I had Islanders originally over the Penguins.
Okay.
I mean, Barry Trotz has done magnificent things in New York, man. He's completely changed the system. He's made a completely defensive type system. Their blue line has been they've relied on them incredibly throughout their season. That's their strength, really. And Varlamov has been great, but he hasn't actually played. I think it was
Sorokin played.
Sorokin, the Russian. But the Islanders, they have the defense. They even have the scoring, Eric. They got Matt Barzal. They got Kyle Palmieri in the trade. I mean, their team is Jordan Eberle. They just have a deep forward line.
For sure.
I mean, Matt Barzal is definitely, I wouldn't say a
superstar. Franchise player.
He's their franchise player, but he's definitely their best player. But besides that, I mean, just a bunch of a deep players who can score. Not superstar Josh Bailey, Jean Gabriel Pajot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Penguins, I don't know. I guess the series that they faced against Montreal last year and them losing kind of is changing my opinion about the Penguins. I think that not washed up, but I think teams this is a beatable team. But when it used to be that the Penguins were dominating in the playoffs, this has become a very beatable. I mean, the Islanders beat them. Was it last year? 2 years ago? They beat them like in 5 games or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think it might have been 4, to be honest, bro. It was super quick. I remember.
I think, maybe it was a sweep or something. But I just like the Islanders. I mean, they're just a fully built team for me.
Okay, so because I actually watched this game live.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ben Horner. He had it on his phone if he's watching this. But obviously, he's a Pittsburgh fan, and he was very disappointed when Kyle Palmieri absolutely sniped that shot right in the top bins. But I was watching this game live, and I was like, because the thing with Islanders, they always I've watched a bunch of Islanders games. They don't get that many shots. It's not they don't get many shots, but they don't really allow the team to get close in. Their defensive system very well built. Everyone knows their role, and then when they're on offense, they take advantage of their shots. Yeah. Kind of how Vegas a couple years ago when they made it to the finals. Just super very consistent with their shots. Yeah. And very well. They don't have a one superstar that will try and carry the puck. Just very well
Matt
built.
Barzal is that guy, and he could do it. but he doesn't do it as much as McDavid
Exactly,
and
yeah. But
McKinnon.
yeah,
and,
their team's really nice, Islanders.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I think Pittsburgh's gonna win this maybe in
Oh, yeah?
7. I'll say 7
Okay.
because. But there's just a thing. I feel like Barry Trotz kind of figured out this team. To be honest, like
I mean, I think, yeah.
like if you think about 2 years ago, like this team, the Islanders team 2 years ago was now it's probably better than it was 2 years ago.
Oh,
And
yeah.
The Pittsburgh team got worse. If
Yeah.
I'm being honest, they lost Phil Kessel, but for sure, because Pittsburgh, the thing with them is Jeff Carter is a big addition for them. Captain's a big addition.
Yeah.
Malkin's injured right now, so
Yeah.
he didn't even play. And Crosby's and Gensel, obviously, the superstars.
But like those are the guys that have to pretty
Exactly,
much
they have
show
to
up.
perform, yeah.
Like
Yeah, exactly. So
against an Islanders team, this team's so deep that you have different lines that are pitching in. The thing that scares me the most, I think, about the Penguins and why I'm taking the Islanders is their goaltending. Tristan Jarry has not been very good this season. Just their whole goaltending tandem hasn't been very good this season, and that I think has been their weakest point of their team.
Really,
and their weakest aspect. I mean, they have the forwards. I mean, they have great forwards, right?
I think Casey DeSmith's pretty good if they have.
But they didn't have a good season. I don't think their goaltenders had a very good season.
I know, but Tristan Jarry's good. Like I feel like he can be a #1 goalie.
Yeah, but some of those goals against Paul Mary, like that OT winner, he was kind of he's in butterfly and he's leaving the top. I mean, it was a great shot.
Yeah,
but that's why when I was making my picks and I was filling out my bracket, I'm like, I don't like the goaltending from the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's not enough for them to win a cup. It's definitely not.
But you got to think about it. Matt Murray, like he was good, but he was superstar when he.
No, but he was playing freaking phenomenal in the playoffs. Now he's not the same Matt Murray anymore, sure, but he was still incredible. Look at his playoff numbers.
But there's a reason why they let go of Matt Murray instead of Jarry. Like they kept Jarry. Matt Murray's still young, but they saw something in Jarry, so hopefully.
I mean, because Jarry outplayed Murray last year, and now Jarry's had that bad season this year. So I don't know. That's why I think the goaltender is going to let the Penguins down for me. That's what I think is going to happen. I mean, they have the lines, they have the scoring, they have the guys. I mean, no doubt they can put the puck behind the net, but especially with the Islanders' defensive system and just their goaltending, the Penguins' goaltending scares me.
We just gotta give credit to Barry Trotz for sure. Like he changes teams. Oh my! Imagine if they still had John Tavares on the team. Like,
no, fuck Tavares. Makes them better without him. Anyway. Let's move on. To the Sunshine State, the Battle of the Sunshine State era. Tampa Bay versus the Florida Panthers.
Oh, what a game that was.
I watched game one. I think you watched game one. I mean, that was I think the best game out of the playoffs so far. It was so back and forth. I mean, the scoring was up. I mean, Kucherov came back. He had 2 goals and an assist. For those reasons, I'll just get to my pick. I think it's Tampa. I think Tampa's winning the series. I still think it's going to be a really good series. I think I could see it go 6, even 7 maybe. I think Tampa's going to win 6, though. Just the addition of Kucherov. I mean, having Kucherov back is the biggest addition in the trade deadline, right? Let's say use it as a trade deadline. I mean, Tampa got the biggest addition. They got David Savard and they got a superstar, Nikita Kucherov, who I guess a lot of people, a lot of people thought, was skating and stuff. He wasn't, and then he proved them wrong in the game one. He looked at himself. He had 2 goals. He had a great pass to Brain Point to tie the game, the slap pass. Yeah. I mean, that team's just too dangerous up front, back end. Their goaltending.
Everything. Like, they have no weaknesses.
The Panthers are good, too. I mean, Joe Quenneville has coached his team really well. And Huberdeau has had a great season with Barkov on that line. The only reason I think Tampa has the edge over Florida when you stack, forwards versus forwards, D versus D, I think it's their goaltending. I don't see Big Bob outplaying Andrei Vasilevsky this playoff series.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
And, with the addition, just having Kucherov and Stamkos back on an already deep team that was killing it without them. I mean, I don't know. I'm taking them.
Because I'll be honest, bro. I remember Spencer Knight played a couple games.
Yeah, he went 4-0 or something.
That's all. I was like, imagine they play Spencer. But
I doubted
he's too
it
young.
though.
Yeah, he's too young. But that's still crazy future for them for sure. But
I mean, what are they going to do with Bob on the contracts? But anyway,
bro, big contract. Yeah,
big contract
for another conversation. But so me, I have Tampa. I think they're going to win in 5 or 6 actually.
Okay.
But the only reason I'd maybe say 6 is because of Barkov and Huberdeau and maybe Ekblad. Just like they still have really good players, right? Like Florida has really good players. Like
Sam Bennett's been playing really good.
Oh yeah, Sam.
But he's also suspended. By the he also is suspended for game 2 for a hit on Blake Coleman.
But Sam Bennett showed like in the regular season really
Yeah.
good after the trade deadline.
For
But
sure.
I have Tampa for sure. Don't really have to explain why. They
Yeah.
just bro, like you anyone that gets a puck, you're like fuck, they might be able to score right now.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous, so much depth. Like
The only chance
and
I'm taking Tampa to lose in the first round is if it's maybe versus Columbus. That's it. Because
fair,
I
yeah.
think that's just mind games with them.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's just because every player on that team has been in the playoffs. They made it for
I mean, they've won it.
and yeah, they've won it, and their team's been consistent over the years too,
Yeah.
right? They have the same few pieces, right? If it goes down to like Palat, like Killorn, like just like even down, like it's been the same pieces. They're very consistent. So I think they're gonna win it for sure. And Loki, if Sergei Bobrovsky
Yeah, but I don't think he's
something
gonna
crazy.
Yeah, but I don't think he.
But he probably won't. Because don't forget, Bobrovsky was the goaltender that actually beat them
in
when
yes.
when he was in Columbus. So, but Bobrovsky's obviously not the same anymore.
Nope.
So that's why I have.
I think it's the
Tampa.
blue line. For sure in Columbus. I mean, in Columbus they had a great blue line. I mean, you got guys like Seth Jones, Werenski, even David Savard was on that team.
Savard, yeah.
And that's why I think Big Bob thrived. And that's why I don't think he thrived that much in Florida is because Florida's blue line was much weaker than that Columbus blue line.
Keith Yandle was not a great defensive player.
Aaron Ekblad stepped up, but I think that when Bob had that terrible season that first year, it's because of that transitioning of the blue line he had to adjust to. So he wasn't used to it. But Tampa, incredible. The experts were saying that Tampa wouldn't be able to keep guys like Tyler Johnson and Killorn. They're gonna have to trade and blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Oh my God, 2 voice cracks in a row.
Yeah.
But somehow with the injury reserve, Kucherov, they didn't have to pay him the $9 million. They finessed the system, and they were able to keep all these guys. And so they're just poised for a back-to-back run here.
Do you think Kucherov actually got like how? Yes,
there is this guy. Okay, so I don't know. I think he could have been healthy before.
Okay.
And Tampa just said, listen, we're just going to wait for the playoffs. But then again, I don't know if the NHL is allowed to like ask for their medical records and stuff. I don't know about that side. Like, is the NHL allowed to ask for their NHL like, I mean,
because Kucherov has nothing to lose if he he's going to get paid the same. The only thing he won't get the playoffs, but if he is injured, and it doesn't even count. I don't even know that's how they work. Like, it doesn't count.
The LTIR, LTIR does not count. So
they finesse so hard, bro.
I mean, there's no salary cap in the playoffs, so that's why.
Exactly.
So I mean, Tampa, So I think Tampa has this in the bag. Let's move on to the Preds and Hurricanes. Eric, this series hasn't been played yet. Still 0-0. Preds 4th seed, Hurricanes 1st seed. Preds were not making the playoffs this season, Eric, and then they went on that crazy run.
Saros,
and they pushed themselves into the playoffs, but I'm taking the Hurricanes. Like, no explanation needed. The Hurricanes have been amazing this season. They're such a well-built team. They had James Reimer, Peter Mrazek. They even had the rookie, I forget his name, Nedeljkovic.
Nedeljkovic, a goaltender.
Nedeljkovic, whatever, for the goaltender.
Oh yeah, he's great.
They have the depth on goaltending. They have the depth on defense. They have one of the best blue lines in the league, Carolina, and just they have
underrated defense. For sure.
They have the talent up front too. I mean, they got Toivo Teravainen back. They have Sebastian Aho. I mean, Vincent Trocheck. Martin Necas had a great year. Svechnikov. I mean, there's so many more. So this is just a very well-built team that I think is just going to beat the Preds maybe 5 games. I give it 5 games.
So yeah, same here. I think they're probably gonna win in around 5 games. I know Nashville's really good. I don't think Forsberg is back. I'm not sure.
He is.
He is okay. Yeah. Forsberg is back, but still, like, I don't think Nashville has enough to win. They're not the same Nashville team from a couple years ago. No. Just Carolina, their team's really it's so well built. Like, kind of like I'm interested to see if they both make it in the second round. Tampa and
Carolina.
I'm interested to see that matchup for sure. Be a really good matchup, but
for sure, high scoring
if it gets there, But very well built team. I love their defense for sure. So underrated defense.
Tony, one of the best defensive blue lines in the league, in my opinion. I mean,
so not much to say. I think I also have Carolina.
Yeah. Let's go to the Wild and the Golden Knights, Eric.
Ooh.
Wild are actually leading this series 1-0. If there is one series to have an upset, Eric, it is this one for sure. I think. Golden Knights. were the second seed, Minnesota the third seed. So they go head to head. I know it's 1-0. I haven't done my research on Max Pacioretty. He was injured in game 1. I don't know when he's going to return. But I'm taking the Vegas Golden Knights in this one, Eric, for sure. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Marc-Andre Fleury wasn't even expected to start this season, but he had to because Leonard was dealing with his mental health issues. And so Marc-Andre Fleury played pretty much the whole season. And, man, he was great. And I don't know if any of you watched the first game, but he was making crazy saves. And kudos to Cam Talbot, too, who had like 40 shots and a shutout. But I definitely don't think Cam Talbot, even though the good season he had, is going to be able to keep it up against a high-scoring Vegas. I don't think he's going to be able to shut them out. So, Vegas had a tough first game where they couldn't score. They're missing their top scorer. I think Max Pacioretty was not their top scorer. I have no clue who their top scorer is, but one of their best scorers, Pacioretty. So I don't know when he's to return, but even without him, I still think Vegas is built to score, even on the blue line. Martinez, Shea Theodore up front. They got Stone, that Marchessault line with Riley Smith and all that. Matthias Janmark they pick up. Pietrangelo. I mean, they shouldn't lose this series. Yeah. But it's very possible because the Minnesota Wild, like I said, great season. Yeah. They're playing really well. Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Fiala. So,
But let's be honest.
And they have a really good blue line too.
Yeah, Minnesota, it's just obviously Vegas. So many more consistent players. They've shown it before. They've been there. Like last year, they made it to, I think, semifinals. Vegas is a really good team. And the thing with Minnesota is Cam Talbot. He's been he had a good season a couple years ago with Edmonton, and then had two bad seasons. Yeah. And then now this year he's playing really well for some reason on a Minnesota team. What's his name? Kapanen, the guy I traded to you.
Kakkonen.
Obviously, he's not playing, but he was when he was playing, he was pretty good.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, let's not go there. But the thing with I think what's really helping out Minnesota for sure is their defense. If I just they have Spurgeon, Dumba, Ryan Suter, that's a really good defensive core for sure. And on offense, obviously they already have five. Zuccarello, if you're naming the best person, Zuccarello, Kaprizov is really good.
Yeah, Fiala.
And, Fiala, it's not that good. It's good, but if you go off Vegas, you know how many good players they have. You know what I mean? It's weird, but I think it's gonna go to 6, probably 6 games. I think it's gonna go 6 games for Vegas.
I could see this go 7 games.
Yeah, maybe.
It might go 7 because the Wild are up 1-0. But I think I'm gonna counter the Minnesota Wild. I think their strongest point right now is not actually their blue line, but it's actually the young forwards that they've had in the lineup. We know how good Minnesota Wild's blue line is, but in past recent years, it hasn't been able to carry this team over the edge.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But with the additions of Kaprizov and that young talent and skill and that skating speed, and put him on a line with Matt Zuccarello, who people scrutinize. The GM actually got fired, or I forget if he got fired or stepped down, whatever, but pretty much because of that Matt Zuccarello contract that he signed. At first people disagreed with it. It's still, you can argue, probably a bad contract, but he showed up this year for sure.
Exactly.
And so I think just with Kaprizov, Fiala, and just the vets around them, that's a really well-built team. I'll say we're going to be saying this a lot this episode, but a lot of these teams are really mixed well up front when it comes to the mix of vets and young players, right? Yeah. You see it in Montreal a lot. You see it in Minnesota. And so, when you have these young guys who are scoring goals, it gets the guys going and stuff like that. And it brings a new life to the forward core, I think. And that's what's really brought Minnesota over the edge this season, is because of those, those young players. Fiala, the last year he came in, or that trade deadline, he's been here for, I don't know how long, 2 years, 3 years?
2 years after the Grenland trade. Yeah.
And then Kaprizov here now, who's had a phenomenal season. So I think it's those young guys who have really, made this team explode.
I know me. You know what's crazy? It's crazy to think that Kaprizov was drafted in the same draft class as McDavid, which is kind of because he's 24, right?
But hey, look what happens is when you have a player playing Russia or playing their American League or whatever, or overseas, whatever. Sometimes it's good to let players stay there and develop.
Yeah.
And then come overseas. Panarin did it. Kaprizov's going to do it. Looks like he's going to turn into a great player. And I'm glad the Minnesota Wild let him develop there
Mhm.
and then thought he was ready enough. And it showed he's completely ready for the NHL, even though
Exactly.
it's a very smaller ice than he's used to, but he's been able to adapt. So
Exactly, for sure.
I still think so. We both have Vegas, right?
Yeah,
But the
Vegas, yeah.
Wild, I wouldn't be surprised though. I would not be
Exactly.
surprised if the Wild
But
won.
don't forget, Wild, I don't think they've ever made. Have they?
The second round in a while, eh?
No, I think they've never made it to the third round. I saw something on that, but
Yeah.
I don't even know if
they've
they've
never
ever
won a
made it
cup,
out of the
so
first. Yeah, I don't know if they've ever made it out of the first. I think they have maybe, but back in the day, but I'm not sure. But I know they've been booted a bunch in the first or the second, which is because they've never had like a really insane team, right? If you think about it, like their team's always been like okay. Even if you go back to like the Matt Mosley and Jason Palmanville days, or even Thomas Vanek, like their team's
Yeah.
never been insane.
nope. So
So
we'll look forward to that series.
yeah,
But let's move on to the Colorado Avalanche versus the St. Louis Blues. Blues win the Stanley Cup. What was it? 2 years ago.
years ago. Wow, that's good.
They're now the 4th seed versus the number 1 seed Avalanche, which people expected. And, wow, this is another tough series. But the Blues team is not the same Blues team that it was a couple years back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking the Avs in this one. I have not liked Jordan Binnington's play of this year. And if the Blues are going to have an upset, he's going to have to play lights out, and he hasn't been able to do that this season. Avalanche, that first line, Nate McKinnon, Landeskog, Ranton. The depth too on this team.
Oh,
that
the
team.
depth is- yeah,
the
so
Avalanche have been known as a one-line team. Remember, for years, when those three guys were playing together.
Yeah.
The Avalanche are a one-line team. They're never going to. And then finally, they got these guys. They got Brandon Saad. They got Nazem Kadri. They've added depth to this team, and it actually makes them a serious threat. Just the thing that scares me about the Avs is, are they contenders or are they pretenders, right?
Mhm.
The Avs were dangerous. What was it that year when they lost to Calgary and No, Calgary lost to them in 5 games. Yeah. Avalanche lost to who they lose to last year?
Dallas, I think, or Vegas.
Oh yeah, it was like Vegas or Dallas or something. I forget. It was one of those two teams.
But 2 years, yeah. It was
But I
Vegas or
think,
Dallas.
no, yeah, sorry, it was a different upset.
Yeah.
I just hopefully this team could play to their expectations, right? And the St. Louis Blues are a good team, and David Prom may not be available for Game 1, but they're still a very deep team up front. Their blue line too has taken a hit with losing Pietrangelo, but they add Torrey Krug. So, and like I said, Jordan Binnington hasn't been that good. Philip Grubauer has been better this season, so I'm taking the Avs.
Sure. Okay.
Probably going to be a 6. I'll say 6.
Okay, fair. I have so much faith in the Avs this season. I'll be honest. I have them going so far. I think they're going to win in 5-6. The thing with Blues is, obviously, they're really good for a 4 seed, right? Just for they have a really good team. Jordan Binnington, obviously not as good as he used to be, but he's still really good.
Sure.
They still have their defense, like Vince Dunn, Torrey Krug, not bad, pretty decent, and they're fourth. Like they've never had like Tarasenko's back for them.
Yeah,
and they have Ryan O'Reilly, obviously, but I don't think it's nothing compared to what Avalanche have for sure. Like their depth is ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you go down, like Andre Burakovsky has an underrated season, super underrated season. They still have like what's his name, Soderberg, Tyson Yost, obviously Nazem Kadri, even someone like Nurchurshkin. That's what his name. Super underrated. Like, just so deep their team and their defense would kill.
And their defense is very mobile too. Gerard, McCarr,
I love
very
Gerard.
very mobile defenseman that the Blues don't have except in Torrey Krug, I'd say.
Exactly. And Grubauer showed up for they picked Varlamov, what's his name? Grubauer Varlamov.
Yeah.
Grubauer's been really good this season, basically a Vezina contender for sure. So they have everything
they have everything for a cup run. They're just gonna. They should beat the Blues, and then if they lose to a good team, they lose to a good team. But the Avs should win this one. But Ryan O'Reilly has promised that they're gonna beat the Avs. What a statement to make! But I don't know. Ryan O'Reilly, cocky. What?
Because remember, Ryan O'Reilly used to be on the Avs a couple.
That's true. Yeah.
And then he crashed.
In the Tim Hortons, and then they booted him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he won a cup with
St.
Louis and won. Yeah,
so maybe some bad blood. We'll see.
Forgot about that.
For sure. But I got the Avs. You got the Avs. So that closes the door on the American playoffs. So let's go to the North Division playoffs, Eric.
Yeah.
Where it's finalized. Montreal did not pass the Jets. They didn't do it. But let's talk about the Jets series first. The Jets versus the Oilers. Eric, the Jets are limping right now into the playoffs.
Yep.
They're on a crazy no, they're not on a losing streak, but they have lost many games in their last 10. So they're limping into the playoffs. Nick Ehlers, I think, is expected back for game 1. But they're facing Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Exactly.
This is a tough. I mean, I like the Jets top 6. I do like the Jets top 6, but this season they have not been able to figure out Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, unlike the Canadians have been, and that's because of Philippe Danault.
Yeah.
They don't really have that first line center. Mark Scheifele is great, but defensively to contain McDavid, no, he hasn't been able to do it. Adam Lowry, I'd say, is probably their best check-in center. I just don't know if they're going to throw Adam Lowry out against McDavid. And that's why I think I'm taking the Oilers on this one. It's going to be high scoring. The Jets definitely have the better goaltender. They don't have the better blue line. And when it comes to, they do have the better top 6. And with Nick Ehlers, it makes them a lot better. And it actually could put them over the edge with Nick Ehlers back. But I think for now I'm going to go with the Oilers just based because I think McDavid's going to take over in this series. Playing with Draisaitl. Or I just think those two are actually just going to pop. Because nobody's been able to shut down McDavid on the Jets, and Mike Smith's played incredible this regular season. Hopefully, he keeps up in the playoffs. Connor Hellebuck has been the cornerstone for the Jets. He's gonna have to play amazing if they're gonna win this series. So that's why I'm gonna take the Oilers. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go the Oilers too, but I think it's gonna be a lock. I think it's gonna be
it's definitely gonna be a lock. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's gonna be like something like 7 games, but you can't forget like. Jets, they've been booted in the first round like last 2-3 seasons.
Yeah.
They've been booted.
I mean, to be fair, they had their stars injured.
Yes.
Against Calgary. But
But like I don't know. It's just, and they've always been like either 2-3. They've always played hard teams, and they've never been able to get out of the first round, which is tough on them.
Yeah.
But like I love their team though. The Jets. They have Connor Hellebuck. Their defense obviously pretty weak.
Very weak, I would say.
Very weak. Yeah.
I mean, I think McDavid's gonna eat these guys.
Exactly. Oh, McDavid's gonna eat for sure.
And even Draisaitl too. Like if he's out there against Josh Morrissey or Neil Pionk, he's gonna be able to check down low.
But
he's
all
a big body.
Like Jets have really good offensive players for sure.
Yes.
They have a lot of star power.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very reliant on that. And the reason why they weren't that good last year was because their star power just didn't they barely scored any goals.
I would say this. I would say the reason they didn't do well last year is because of their blue line. But that same blue line this year has played exceptionally better than the blue line they were last year.
They couldn't score last year either. And they had a lot of injuries, obviously, with that line. But they just couldn't score. You have to be able to score. And I think they're going to have a pretty it's not that hard to score in Edmonton, to be honest. Because their goaltending's not that good. And the thing with Edmonton is, we all know about Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. It's gonna be that, but Yamamoto's gotta pick it up. Obviously, if they want to do it, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins gotta pick it up.
Yeah, for sure. When McDavid and Draisaitl don't score, they're not gonna win the game.
Exactly. And their D line's actually pretty you gotta look. Darnell Nurse.
Darnell's
had
a great season.
Great season for sure. So,
but I wouldn't say Darnell Nurse is gonna be the reason. That puts them over the edge.
But you got to go into the depth, obviously, when you're analyzing these games. You can't just look at Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid,
sure.
but it's definitely one of the main pieces. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, these guys always eat. They'll always get their points. Even last year when they got booted, they still got still up there. They got a bunch of points. So it's gonna be a pretty good matchup.
It's gonna be a high scoring affair for sure. I think.
I'm just sad that we're gonna have to wait. I think.
Until Thursday.
Wednesday? Yeah, Thursday.
That game starts Wednesday, yeah. And
I still find it funny that Vancouver still got to finish their games, even though they're.
But this is definitely gonna be a high scoring affair. I mean, there's no secret that McDavid isn't very good 200 feet. He's not very good in his own zone and in the neutral zone when it comes to his defensive capabilities. Same thing with the Jets. They don't really have the guy who can do it. Mark Scheifele is not really that guy. I would say Adam Lowry is probably their best checking center.
Yep.
But I doubt that Paul Maurice is going to line him up against McDavid for the whole game.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be high score. I mean, they're going to score goals. People are going to be left open. People aren't going to be as, strict defensively. compared to teams like the Montreal Canadiens that shadow McDavid and do a really well job doing that. So I think it's to be a shootout. I just think because of Edmonton has McDavid and Draisaitl that they're going to win. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets won. Again, this is probably another series I wouldn't be surprised that the Jets won.
That's fair to say.
So that series is done. Let's move on to the last series, Eric, of the North Division. The Montreal Canadiens versus the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, we've already talked about it, but let's go.
First time since 1970. First time since the 1970s.
Yeah.
I forget the year since the Habs and Leafs have played in the playoffs. Montreal beating the Leafs last time was in 5 games, I think. So I guess that should mean something, right?
Fair.
A game that happened 30 years ago, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But no. Montreal's 4th seed. The Leafs, of course, are the 1st seed. Montreal has actually sent Brendan Gallagher and Carey Price to play in the Laval Rocket game, their Monday game, for conditioning purposes. Yeah.
Wait, actually?
Yeah. Carey Price can play half the game. Gallagher's going to play the game for conditioning purposes because they're expected back into the lineup. Carey Price is actually expected back into the lineup. So, Eric, like we've talked about this before, and I'll just say quickly, it all comes down to X and Y's, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Habs are built. They're a depth team. I mean, that's how Bergevin wanted his team to look. No star power or anything. They're built through depth. They're deep on their up front. When healthy, they're deep on their blue line. And, of course, they have maybe arguably the best goaltending tandem compared to, or, arguably against Fleury and Leonard. Is Carey Price and Jake Allen. See, now, here are the big ifs. If Carey Price, Shea Weber come back playing the way they're playing normally, if Carey Price goes back to playing like crap, like he was, and he's not playoff Carey Price, and Shea Weber isn't his healthy self, and he's not able to be as physical as possible and as dominant as he is, then the Montreal Canadiens are going to lose this series, sadly. I mean, they are. Because if you have Shea Weber healthy, then he's able to actually, not shadow Matthews, but make it harder for him to score, definitely when he's on the ice, because those cross checks, to the back, in the rib cage, that's going to be allowed in the playoffs. The refs are going to allow that. Let me tell you. I mean, it's the Shea Weber signature, right? The cross check in the lower back that puts guys to their knees in front of that's going to go. Refs are going to allow that. So Shea Weber knows that. But when he's healthy and he's the best, defenseman in the league in front of the net like that, like he was in his prime, but I still think he could be the best defenseman in front of his net. It's going to be a lot harder for Austin Matthews to score and Mitch Marner and all them, because Matthews likes to circulate the net. He loves to go everywhere, and so it's going to be a lot harder. Of course, up front, like I said this yesterday or last week, it's going to come down to Ducharme's matchups, his lines. I mean, there's going to be a lot of good players that are going to be left out of this lineup. Guys like Cole Caulfield, who I think might not play for some reason. I forget who else was it. It was Cole Caulfield and someone else. But, I mean, he thinks, he wants to play Stahl, of course. He's going to play Eric Stahl in the playoffs. Eric Stahl hasn't done anything in Montreal, and he's looked a lot
smaller. Jake Evans playing for sure.
Jake Evans should play. I think he's going to play with Paul Byron and Lehkonen. The key for Montreal right now, the only way they beat the Leafs, they got to put fast guys in their lineup. They got to compete with the speed. I mean, look how mobile the Leafs blue line is. It's incredibly mobile. Montreal's not. They don't really have that mobile defenseman. But wait, they got a guy like Brett Kulak who can move the puck. Is he going to be in the lineup? Is Gustafsson going to be in the lineup? Maybe not. He hasn't been that great defensively, but he's a guy who can move the puck. It just depends on the matchups. Is Stahl and Perry going to be on the same line? That's a slow line that's just going to get burnt the whole time. Josh Anderson I think he's going to show up in the playoffs. He's been on a bit of a slump so far, so hopefully he can come back. Gallagher, of course, the addition of Gallagher changes the complexity of this team completely. I mean, this is a completely different team, and the stats don't lie. They score more goals when he's in the lineup.
Yeah, exactly.
And they play way better. So could this team return to the team it was at the beginning of the season? I don't know. It doesn't look like Jonathan Drouin is going to play. And I think this guy might have played his last game in Montreal. I think so.
Oh, yeah, you think so? Okay.
I mean, is he playing the playoffs? I don't know. If he's not playing the playoffs, it proves to Montreal and the organization, the fans, that he's not built for the pressure, right? Sure. And so if he's not playing the playoffs, if he doesn't play at all, I think it could be his last game as a Montreal Canadiens. I don't know. I thought he was going to be ready for playoffs. It doesn't look like it, so.
But you never know with these personal issues or whatever.
I haven't heard any word or anything. So I'm taking the Habs.
Okay.
because I'm
Really?
trusting that they're
You're
going to play.
taking the Habs, okay.
I mean, I
very
have to.
interesting.
There's no chance I'm saying.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But if they play their potential, then yeah, they have the advantage, or at least I
Okay.
think. It's just they also turn the puck over the most
Mhm.
to the Leafs. You know,
Yeah.
to any other team
Okay.
it's the Leafs. So can they counter that pressure?
Mhm.
Can they be good in the neutral zone? Can they have clean exits? You know, are they going to take penalties every game too? Right? Is this
That's what I was about to add on.
Montreal's
Yeah.
going to take 2 penalties a game? Then they're going to lose this series
Mhm.
because you can't give guys like that a chance. They have to be more
But
disciplined.
it's not about
And
taking
hopefully
penalties.
in the playoffs, that's going to be in favor of Montreal because
Exactly.
they aren't that disciplined, and so maybe a lot of calls they can get away with. We'll see.
Exactly. But it's just a lot of stupid penalties. I'll be honest. I remember
Yeah,
last year,
over the
even when
puck,
they played
yeah.
Pittsburgh, like in the play, like it was the playing round, like
Yeah.
there's some dumb penalties. It's just like these
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't know, like when delay of game, like it's
Yeah.
just you don't like those penalties for sure. But to me, it's definitely goaltending and defense. Like Columbus, the reason why they won last,
Yeah.
they had crazy goal. They had Corpusalo in net. They played really good defense, and that's how they won. Like the thing that you have to do against Toronto is you just can't let them score. As like if you keep them to like 2-3 goals, you'll be because Toronto they can score anytime. You just have to be so
Yeah.
disciplined. You just have to be on your game. You have to know where Matthews is on the ice. You have to know where should be really good, sound defensively, and
Yeah.
if you're not good defensively, it's gonna show in the play. They're gonna take advantage. Like if Gustafsson doesn't like.
Well, I don't know if he's
not
even playing. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But like players like Gustafsson, or if Shea Weber has an off game and shows that like he's not good, like he's gonna get burned. Like he's gonna get killed in playoffs for sure.
yeah.
So that's why this seems really like Shea
There's
Weber's
a lot of
got to show up.
questions
Yeah.
for this team because the Leafs
Yeah, a
are
lot
fully
of questions for
healthy,
sure.
and you know, but is the Montreal Canadiens, are those
Mhm.
players going to be able to return at their best? Right?
Yeah.
Is Price going to be able to return? Price plays better with this team is better with when it comes to time off. I mean, they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins last year because
Yeah.
they had 2 months off.
Exactly.
Price had a little time off here. Shea Weber has a little time off here. Are they going to come back and be as dominant as they were in the playoff bubble? It depends. It all comes down to if Carey Price is Carey Price. If he's not playoff Carey Price, then they lose. Right.
I'm interested to see how the vets will help out this team for sure. Like, because usually, as I say, like in playoffs, like if you have a lot of vets, like that helps a lot, right? Because they've been there. Like obviously, Eric Stahl, like
hopefully Eric Stahl wakes up and realizes this is the playoffs. I got to show up. They traded for me.
Remember what a lot of vets show up in the play. Remember Justin Williams one play? He just show like players like you just need like your vets to show up in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna come to decisions like the lineup. I don't know if we lose the first game and we only score like 1 goal. Does that mean Caulfield plays game 2? Like I don't know. I think Caulfield should have been in the starting lineup. I don't think he's starting. I don't think KK's starting, which is okay because he hasn't been playing that well either. And yeah, I'm tired of the Habs losing. Like, if the player's not ready, they're not ready. I don't want them. If KK's not going to be able to play to his potential, then yeah, I guess he has to sit. Okay. So it's just we traded for Stahl, guys like that, to come and play in the playoffs, right? But he hasn't shown it that he's ready. So
I'll be honest. I think if I had to make a prediction right now, I'd say Toronto in 6.
Yeah,
but I believe if it goes to Game 7, I think Montreal is more made for the pressure than Toronto is.
I mean, yeah, Toronto has nothing. Like they need to win. Montreal has no pressure. They're expected to lose.
Toronto's been choking in the last games. Like they lost in 5 last season. They lost in 7 to Boston like 2 years in a row. Whatever it was. Like, I think if it goes down to Game 7, like Montreal, like you can take advantage of that pressure that Toronto has. Like,
well, Game 7's still far away. So
no, I know, but I'm just saying if it ever gets to there, like I just think Montreal you don't put too much pressure on Montreal. Just let them play their game.
That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't have. I mean, there's still pressure.
Yeah, no, obviously there's pressure, but I think
the Leafs are going to be feeling it more.
Oh yeah, that's what you have. Like you need the Leafs to feel that pressure because, bro, Leafs are stressing. Like
oh yeah, if they get bounced by the Canadians, well, let me tell you, there's going to be a city fire in Toronto.
Oh yeah, the scenes.
I mean, the fan base will be pissed. The organization will be pissed. So hopefully it happens. Hopefully this can happen. I mean, I don't care if the Habs don't win the cup, but if they can beat the Leafs, I'll enjoy the playoffs.
Literally, that's all we need for sure. Like from people from Montreal, like that's if we win, that'd be incredible.
So, like I said, a lot of X and Y's in that series. So, I mean, it's just gonna come down. We'll just have to watch and wait and see, And basically, that's that. So, that has been the episode. Thanks again for tuning into the Chtib Zhang show. We'll be back, of course, next week for the next episode. We'll maybe be talking NBA playoffs probably then. So tune in for that. And then, like I said, thanks again for listening to the Chtib Zhang show. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.